Your fruit trees look the same every year. Curled leaves, sticky honeydew, and aphid colonies that nothing seems to kill. Forget about store-bought sprays. I will show you 7 proven methods, but I will start with the one that almost no one talks about, which works after just the first 24 hours. Welcome to an episode that anyone who owns even a single fruit tree should watch. You spend hours in the garden. You prune, water, nourish the soil, wait for the fruit, and then you walk up to the young shoots and instead of healthy leaves, you see sticky slime, curled leaf blades, and hundreds of tiny green bodies literally sucking the life out of your tree. And marching up and down the trunk are columns of ants, the tireless guardians of this entire operation. Sounds familiar, right? This battle seems endless because the exact same pattern repeats season after season. You buy another spray at the store, you spray, you see a temporary improvement, and a week later the colony returns, only larger than before. Why? Because store-bought chemicals are a costly and vicious cycle. They destroy not only aphids, but also the insects that could help you. They kill ladybugs, lacewings, and tiny parasitoid wasps, and the aphids, deprived of their natural enemies, then multiply even faster. But what if there was a way to break this vicious cycle without poisoning your garden, using nature itself and methods proven over generations? Yes, it is possible, and today we will end this problem once and for all. I will show you 7 solid strategies that will help you get rid of aphids and ants for good. But first, we need to understand what we are really fighting, because you have to know your enemy inside out. We are used to thinking of ants as the hardworking cleaners of the forest. And yes, in the forest, they play a beneficial role. However, on the scale of your fruit orchard, ants behave like ruthless, calculating farmers. To them, aphids are an obedient dairy herd. This alliance, forged through millions of years of coevolution, is destroying your trees right before your eyes. The aphid pierces the delicate tissues of young leaves and shoots with its stylet, sucking out the sap that the plant lives on. It excretes excess sugars in the form of sweet, sticky droplets. This is the so-called honeydew. And for this sweet syrup, ants are willing to do absolutely anything. They literally herd the aphids. They tickle them with their antennae to stimulate honeydew secretion. They carefully carry them to new, more succulent branches, defend them against predators, and in the fall, hide them in their deep underground nests so they can bring them out to pasture again in the spring. Where does this idyll lead when it comes to your tree? The leaves curl, deform, and dry up. The growth of young shoots stops completely. Sooty mold quickly settles on the sticky aphid secretions, covering the leaves with a black coating that is impermeable to sunlight. Photosynthesis stops. The tree weakens, its immunity drops, and it becomes easy prey for diseases and frost. Do you realize how quickly an aphid colony can multiply when ants are guarding its safety? It is a pace that no single spray can keep up with. For years, I tried fighting them separately myself. I poisoned the aphids, but a week later they reappeared because the ants brought a fresh batch. I destroyed the ants, but the aphids did perfectly fine on their own. It was only when I realized that the key to success lies in a systemic approach, in breaking the strong bond between the two species, that my orchard breathed a sigh of relief. Today I will share 7 strategies with you. They work brilliantly, both individually and in powerful synergy, turning you from a helpless gardener into a wise strategist. Top 1. Recruiting nature's own army. This is the most ecological, noble, and incredibly effective method of long-term garden protection. We are used to grabbing a sprayer at the sight of the first bug, forgetting that there is perfect balance in nature. Our task is not to disrupt it, but to let nature fight on our side. It is about entomophages, insects that feed on other insects. The first and most well-known ally is the ladybug, but few people know that the beautiful adult beetle with red spots is just the tip of the iceberg. The real terror for aphids is the ladybug larva. You have surely seen them on leaves, but perhaps you got scared and destroyed them, mistaking them for pests. They look like tiny gray alligators with orange spots. This inconspicuous larva has an absolutely unbelievable, insatiable appetite. In a single day, it can devour up to 100 aphids. I remember the first time I consciously observed one. It moved across the leaf like a ruthless machine, methodically eliminating the entire pest colony. Our next invisible hero is the lacewing, a delicate insect with transparent, lace-like greenish wings and large golden eyes. The adult feeds on nectar, but its larvae are rightfully nicknamed aphid lions in the scientific world. They pierce aphids with powerful mandibles and suck them dry. Equally important are hoverflies. These are flies that, through evolution, have learned to mimic the appearance of wasps, adopting characteristic yellow and black stripes. They hover in the air over flowers, pollinating them, and their larvae, which resemble legless greenish caterpillars, are blind but have a phenomenal sense of touch. They crawl over leaves, searching for aphid colonies and ruthlessly exterminating them. And finally, ichneumon wasps, microscopic wasps that do not sting humans but strike fear into pests. The ichneumon wasp flies up to an aphid, instantly pierces its body with its ovipositor, and lays an egg inside. A larva hatches from the egg and slowly devours the aphid from the inside. The aphid turns into a bloated, dry brown mummy. If you see such mummies on your leaves, know that your invisible army is already in action. How do you attract all these beneficial predators to your garden and keep them there longer? They need nectar for additional nourishment and reproduction. You should sow nectar-producing plants throughout the orchard. Garden dill, cilantro, buckwheat, phacelia, daisies, and marigolds. All of this should bloom within the tree basins and between the rows. Umbelliferous plants have a particular power to attract beneficial insects. Furthermore, do not rush in the fall to rake and burn absolutely all the leaves and cut down every dry stem. Leave small piles of brushwood, bunches of dry grass with hollow stems, and special insect hotels in quiet corners of the garden. This is an absolutely essential shelter where your six-legged allies can overwinter, so they can wake up first in early spring and stand guard over the bursting buds. Most interestingly, such an insect hotel can be made for literally $0 from pieces of old boards, bamboo tubes, or dry raspberry or lilac stems. Just tie it with string and hang it in a sheltered spot under the eaves or on a fence. This method changes the very philosophy of gardening, turning the orchard into a self-regulating ecosystem where a pest population explosion is immediately suppressed by natural enemies. Top 2. A smart garden and protective plants. This strategy is based on the proper selection of protective plants and thoughtful agricultural practices. Let's start with creating a living scent barrier. Insects perceive their surroundings completely differently than we do. Their main tool for navigation and finding food is their sense of smell. Aphids and ants find a tasty tree through the subtlest chemical signals. Our goal is to create a powerful aromatic shield around each tree that will confuse the pests. This is a green shield made of repellent plants. Plant things like white mustard, basil, lavender, peppermint, marigolds, garlic, and wormwood directly in the tree basins of apple, pear, plum, and cherry trees. The essential oils that these plants release into the air around the clock act like radar jammers. An ant pushing through a thicket of blooming lavender or a clump of pungent wormwood loses the chemical trail leading to the tree. I often plant marigolds in a dense ring around young saplings myself, and I must say that it not only looks aesthetically pleasing, but genuinely reduces the number of aphids. The second part of this strategy is understanding that the health of the tree itself is its best immunity. Pests always attack weakened individuals or, conversely, overfed ones. If you overdo it with nitrogen fertilizers, the tree starts putting out massive, thick, but very watery and loose shoots. The cell walls of such leaves are thin, and the aphid pierces them with its stylet without the slightest effort. For them, it is a true all-you-can-eat buffet. Nutritional balance is crucial. Another agricultural measure is proper sanitary and formative pruning. Aphids love dense canopies where there are no drafts, where it is perpetually damp, warm, and dark. By thinning the canopy, opening it up to sunlight and free wind movement, you create conditions that are unbearable for the development of fungal diseases and extremely uncomfortable for aphids. The wind prevents them from feeding peacefully, and the sun dries out their delicate bodies. Next, we have the fall digging of the tree basins. Many gardeners debate its justification, But in the war against pests, it is a powerful move. Aphids lay their overwintering eggs in the crevices of the bark at the base of the trunk and on root suckers, as well as on weeds growing around the tree. By carefully turning over the top layer of soil in late fall, you destroy the weeds, and the overwintering stages of the pests are brought to the surface, where they die from the frost or are eaten by birds. And finally, mulching. A thick layer of mowed grass, straw, or wood chips in the tree basin solves several problems at once. It is a physical barrier that makes life difficult for ants. It is a way to retain moisture in the soil so the tree does not experience stress during a drought, and consequently, the sap in its leaves does not become too thick and concentrated, making it less attractive to aphids. Take my word for it, these seemingly boring agricultural practices yield the most lasting and stable effects, paying back the invested time many times over. Top 3. Targeted bioattack with biopreparations. When the situation gets out of control, when there are already too many aphids and not enough natural enemies, we need heavy artillery. But we agreed not to reach for harsh chemicals that poison everything around. Our choice is biological preparations. What are they, and why are they safe? These are products created based on the metabolic byproducts of living microorganisms, beneficial soil fungi, and bacteria. The most prominent and accessible example is avermectin-based preparations, such as phytoverm. The active ingredient is a naturally occurring neurotoxin. When it gets onto the aphid's body or into its digestive tract along with the plant sap, the toxin causes immediate paralysis of the nervous system. The insect stops feeding after just a few hours and dies completely within 2 to 3 days. The main and undeniable advantage of biopreparations lies in their selectivity and short breakdown period. They break down under the influence of sunlight in literally 2 to 3 days. They absolutely do not accumulate in the fruit. Therefore, you can safely eat apples or berries just 3 days after the treatment. They are safe for humans, pets, earthworms, birds, and most importantly, when used correctly, they do not harm bees. However, for biopreparations to work 100%, you must strictly follow the rules for their application. I have been burned more than once when I sprayed the orchard in cool weather and saw no effect. Biopreparations only work in the warmth. The minimum air temperature during the treatment and the following 24 hours cannot be lower than 64 degrees Fahrenheit, 18 degrees Celsius, and the ideal temperature at which the preparation's effectiveness multiplies is 77 degrees Fahrenheit, 25 degrees Celsius. The warmer it is, the faster and more lethally the toxin works. The second fundamental rule is the thoroughness of the spraying. The aphid hides on the underside of the leaf, and the preparation must hit exactly there, because it works through contact and ingestion and does not spread through the vessels of the entire tree like systemic chemical poisons. You must literally bathe the infested branches in the solution, using a sprayer with a fine nozzle, directing the stream from the bottom up. And the third rule, mandatory repetition of the treatment. Biopreparations cannot penetrate the thick shell of aphid eggs. They only kill adults and larvae. After 5 to 7 days, a new generation will hatch from the previously laid eggs. If you do not spray again, the colony will quickly rebuild its numbers. Therefore, we always perform at least 2, and preferably 3 treatments at weekly intervals. Biopreparations are your ace in the hole, a fast and ecological way to knock down a wave of pest invasion while keeping your harvest clean. Top 4. Barrier protection and sticky bands. The fourth strategy shifts us to defensive actions. This is barrier protection, the essence of which comes down to physically cutting off the ant's path to the tree canopy. If we do not let the ants up, the cycle will be broken. Aphids, deprived of their fierce guards, will very quickly become easy prey for ladybugs and lacewings. The main tactical element in this positional war is the sticky band, also known as a tree band. It might seem like a simple thing, but there are secrets here too, without which you can harm the tree. How do you make and apply it correctly? Never, under any circumstances, apply the glue directly to the tree bark. The chemical solvents in the glue can cause severe burns to the cambium. The bark will die and a young tree could simply perish. We need a backing. The ideal material is a wide strip of dense burlap, packing cloth, or even plain cotton. We choose a smooth section on the trunk at a height of about 20 to 24 inches, 50 to 60 centimeters from the ground. We clean the bark of old, peeling scales so that no gaps are left under the band through which clever ants could squeeze. We wrap the trunk tightly with the fabric in several layers and tie it securely at the top and bottom with string. And only now, on the middle part of this fabric backing, do we apply a thick layer of special non-drying entomological glue. I remember perfectly the first time I wrapped the trunks of my young pear trees with burlap and glue. I stood and watched as the first ant scouts crawled up, encountered the sticky barrier, and got bogged down in it like a death trap. This band held up brilliantly, even during heavy rain. The glue did not wash off with water and did not dry out in the sun. The most important thing is to regularly check the bands and renew the glue layer as it gets clogged with dust, stuck insects, or dry leaves that the wind blows onto the trunk. An alternative or supplement to the sticky band can be a so-called skirt band made of aluminum foil. This is a purely mechanical barrier. You take a wide strip of strong kitchen foil, wrap it around the trunk so that the top edge fits tightly against the bark, and tie it with string. The bottom edge of the foil is bent outward and downward, forming something like an inverted funnel or umbrella. The ants crawl up the trunk, get under this umbrella, try to cross onto the slippery, mirror-like inner surface of the foil, cannot keep their grip on the perfectly smooth metal, and simply fall to the ground. It is an incredibly simple, cheap, and effective solution. Isn't it amazing that a piece of foil from a kitchen drawer can replace many bottles of spray? The point of this barrier strategy is to deprive the aphids of logistics and protection. The ants run around in a panic at the base of the tree, not understanding where their herd has disappeared to. And meanwhile, up in the branches, nature is doing its job. Top 5. Targeted destruction of ant nests. We have blocked their path up the tree. Now we need to deal with the source of the problem. An anthill is an incredibly complex superorganism, and you have to strike it smartly. Let's start with physical methods. The oldest known method is boiling water. It works well when the anthill is located somewhere on a path away from the crops. We dig up the nest with a spade to the depth of the blade and pour a bucket of boiling water inside. But remember that using this method in the tree basin is categorically unacceptable. You would scald the delicate feeder roots of the apple or cherry tree. The second radical method is quicklime. If you dig up the nest and generously sprinkle it with lumps of quicklime, and then pour water over it, a violent exothermic reaction will begin, releasing a huge amount of heat and corrosive gases. The anthill will be burned out, but this method requires the utmost caution, using safety goggles and gloves. And again, it is not suitable for use near the roots of cultivated plants. Therefore, we move on to biochemical methods, and the undisputed leader here is boric acid in sweet baits. This is a weapon that is brilliant in its simplicity. Boric acid does not kill the ant immediately. It is a slow-acting intestinal poison, and that is exactly where the secret of its crushing effectiveness lies. We use the principle of a chain reaction. The recipe for preparing the bait is simple. Take 2 tablespoons of sugar or old fermented jam, add a little warm water to make a thick syrup, and pour in half a teaspoon of boric acid powder. Mix thoroughly. We pour this sweet, deadly mixture into flat plastic bottle caps and place them next to the anthill and on ant trails. It is a good idea to cover the caps with pieces of roof tile, slate, or wood so that the bait is not washed away by rain and so that bees or pets cannot reach it. What happens next? Forager ants find the treat, eat it themselves, but do not die right away. In their social stomach, they carry this poison sweetness into the very heart of the colony. They feed it to the soldiers, the nurses, the larvae, and most importantly, they feed it to the mother, the queen of the anthill. When the poison accumulates in the mother's body and she dies, the colony is doomed. The anthill dies out completely within 2 to 3 days. This is a scientifically proven fact. Another great method is the use of wood ash and fine charcoal. If we generously sprinkle the anthill with fresh, dry wood ash, it will cause panic among the insects. Ash is highly alkaline. It burns the ants' feet, eats away at their chitinous exoskeleton, and the finest charcoal particles absorb the chemical pheromones that ants use to communicate and mark trails. The colony loses its orientation and often prefers to simply leave the uncomfortable spot. And if the colony is located where you do not want to kill it, you can use repellent methods. Ants hate the pungent smells of essential oils. Soak sawdust with fir, peppermint, or lavender oil and scatter it in a thick ring around the trunk or directly onto the nest. This will completely disrupt their trails. There are also folk methods using groats, semolina, or millet. Gardeners generously sprinkle them on anthills. To this day, there are disputes about how this actually works. Some claim that the groats swell in the ants' stomachs and kill them. Others assure that the ants mistake the grains for the eggs of a foreign species, panic, and carry their queen as far away as possible. But the facts speak for themselves. An ant hill covered with millet often empties out. And finally, an old folk repellent ban, a thick paste made of wood tar, soot, and coarse salt. If you smear this black mass in a wide ring on the lower part of the trunk, ants will never dare to cross this foul-smelling and burning border. Top 6 Express Canopy Treatment Methods. The sixth strategy comes into play when the timing has been missed. If you didn't manage to do the spring preventive work, didn't apply the bans, and the aphids have covered the young shoots in a solid carpet, you need express methods for immediate canopy treatment. We will use solutions and infusions that can be prepared from what you always have on hand, bypassing store-bought poisons. We will start with the classics: plant infusions and soap solutions. Soap is not just a substance that increases adhesion. It is an independent and very formidable weapon against aphids. But you must use not liquid cosmetic hand soap, but the simplest raw laundry soap with a fatty acid content of 72%, or tar soap with its specific smell. How does it really work? The aphid's body is covered with a thin wax layer that protects it from drying out. Alkaline soapy water instantly eats away and washes off this wax. Furthermore, as it dries, the soap forms a very thin, impermeable film on the insect's body that clogs its spiracles. The aphid dies from suffocation and dehydration. At the same time, such a solution is completely safe for the plant itself. The recipe is simple. Grate 300 grams, about 10.5 oz, of laundry soap on a coarse grater, dissolve the shavings in a small amount of hot water, and then pour this concentrate into a 10-liter, about 2.5-gallon bucket of warm water. Spray the trees generously, paying special attention to the undersides of the leaves. An even stronger blow is an ash and soap solution, a double effect. We take 3 kilograms, about 6.6 LEBs, of sifted wood ash and pour 10 liters of water over it. We simmer it over low heat for half an hour to extract the alkalis as much as possible. We let the decoction cool and settle. We pour off the clear liquid, add 100 grams, about 3.5 oz, of grated soap to it, and bring the volume up to 10 liters. This strong alkaline mixture literally burns the delicate bodies of the aphids, leaving them not a shadow of a chance. Let's move on to pharmacy remedies with a dual action. The first of these is an ammonia solution. This is a unique remedy. First, the pungent smell of ammonia instantly paralyzes the respiratory system of ants and aphids, acting like a volatile poison. Second, ammonia is an easily absorbable form of nitrogen, meaning that by spraying the tree, you are simultaneously providing a powerful foliar feeding that helps the damaged leaves quickly regenerate and start growing. To a 10-liter bucket of water, add exactly 2 tablespoons of 10% ammonia and a few tablespoons of liquid soap for adhesion. The solution is prepared immediately before use because ammonia evaporates quickly. The second pharmacy remedy, a true secret of experienced gardeners, is a potassium permanganate solution. Potassium permanganate is an incredibly strong oxidizer. Dissolve it in water to a saturated dark pink color. It is very important to carefully stir all the crystals so they do not get onto the leaf and cause a localized burn. The solution should not be purple or black, just deep pink. With a generous spraying of such a solution, aphids experience severe oxidative stress and die, and ants organically cannot stand the smell of active oxygen and ozone that is produced during the reaction and immediately leave the sprayed tree. The third simple remedy is a vinegar solution. 10 tablespoons of regular 9% table vinegar per 10 liters of water. The solution is weakly acidic. Contrary to widespread myths, it does not harm the leaves if you keep the proportions. An acidic environment is lethal to aphids and repels ants. The most important rule when using all these express methods: you must spray the trees either early in the morning when the sun is not yet hot or in the evening at sunset so that the drops of the solution do not act like lenses and burn holes in the delicate leaves in the sun. And remember that these solutions are easily washed away by the first rain, so the treatments will need to be repeated regularly until you have the situation fully under control. Have you ever wondered how much money you spend annually on store-bought products that don't solve the problem anyway? Do the math. The result will surprise you. Top 7 seasonal calendar and a comprehensive approach. The seventh strategy combines all the previous steps into one powerful plan. This is the seasonal calendar and a comprehensive approach. The main idea is this: in the garden, consistency and a systematic approach always win against one-off, even the most massive attacks. You can't just go out into the orchard in mid-July, douse everything with soapy water, and hope for a miracle. We must combine all methods into a precise annual plan, staying one step ahead of the enemy's moves. Your orchard is a chessboard, and you should always play white, making the first move. We start in the spring. As soon as the snow melts, the soil dries out a bit, and the average daily temperature begins to rise. But the buds on the trees haven't opened yet. It's time for the first strike. Right now, before the sap starts flowing and the pests wake up, we apply sticky tree bands to all fruit trees. Ants wake up earlier than aphids and will go on reconnaissance. We must welcome them with an impassable barrier. At the same time, we sow seeds of repellent plants, mustard, dill, and phacelia, directly into the tree circles. They will sprout and create that same scent barrier, and incidentally attract the first entomophages. When the first young, delicate leaves appear on the trees, we conduct a thorough inspection. If we see isolated colonies of overwintered aphids, we do the first preventive treatment with biopreparations, choosing a warm, windless day. We move on to summer, the period of active vegetation. During this time, the orchard requires constant vigilance. Regularly, once a week, walk around your property and look under the leaves of young shoots. If an aphid colony has just appeared at the tip of a branch, the simplest and most effective way is to just crush it with gloved fingers or cut off the infected tip with pruning shears. This will prevent the geometric progression of their reproduction. If you see that there are not enough natural predators, you can turn to modern technologies and buy entomophages, for example. Lacewing eggs bred in specialized biolaboratories and release them in the orchard. This is an absolutely normal practice in organic farming. Throughout the summer, we maintain a thick layer of mulch under the trees. We regularly weed out tall weeds that can serve as bridges for ants to bypass the sticky bands. For local outbreaks of aphids, we use express methods. We generously spray the canopies with a soap and ash or ammonia solution. In parallel, we wage a constant positional war with ants on the ground, constantly renewing sweet baits with boric acid near their nests, forcing the colony to weaken and die off. In the fall, when the harvest is gathered and the leaves begin to turn yellow, it's time to prepare for winter and build the foundation for victory next year. Aphids prepare for hibernation by laying eggs. Our task is not to give them a chance. We carefully collect all the fallen fruit, remove and compost or burn the fallen leaves, because pests and disease spores can overwinter on them. We deeply dig the soil in the tree circles, turning the clods of earth outward so that the winter frosts destroy the insects hidden in the soil. We must remove and burn the old sticky bands from the trees. Leaving them for the winter is unacceptable, because dozens of species of various pests, including those same aphids and coddling moth caterpillars, will surely settle under the fabric to overwinter. And we finish the season with careful sanitary pruning. We remove all water sprouts, dry, and rubbing branches. We thin out the canopy, depriving the aphids of future, cozy, shaded quarters. My personal conclusion after years of running an orchard is this: no single miracle cure wins this war. It is won by patience, a systematic approach, and the smart combination of many simple methods at once. It's a bit like building a house. Even the best foundation alone is not enough. You also need walls, a roof, and utilities. It's the same in the orchard. Each of these 7 strategies is one element, but only together do they create an impregnable fortress. Summarizing this comprehensive action plan, I want to say the most important thing: The war against aphids and ants on fruit trees is not won by some single magic potion bought in a store, but by a deeply thought-out comprehensive strategy. In this strategy, prevention is always more important, cheaper, and more effective than a cure. Understand that nature is not your enemy that you have to fight with toxic chemicals. Nature is your main and most powerful ally. By attracting beneficial insects to the garden, creating unbearable conditions for pests using scents and mechanical barriers, and making targeted strikes with biopreparations and home remedies, you restore the disturbed balance. Your orchard can be incredibly productive, strong, healthy, and at the same time 100% ecologically clean. Apply these 7 strategies patiently and methodically, and you will forever forget about curled leaves and sticky honeydew, enjoying every day spent on your own land. Write in the comments now which method worked for you, or which one you intend to try first, and I will show your results next week. And if your trees suffer not only from aphids but also from brown spots, cracking fruit, or a white coating, then in the next episode we will tackle fungal diseases of fruit trees. It will be specific and straight to the point. See you in the next episode and, as always, wishing you an abundant harvest. If these proven methods have changed the way you look at pest control in the garden, be sure to subscribe to our channel and leave a thumbs up. We uncover the secrets of nature that others try to hide. Take care of your crops and build a green future with us. Another dose of gardening knowledge is coming soon.